Well, we've been happy to have you here over these past 5 and tonight 6 nights, but we thought, all right, before you hear from Yanal Cherry, our ultimate speaker to integrate everything together, why not give you a sense of what you might do next? And there's lots of possibilities for those of you, both here at MIT and in the greater community, both those in academic institutions in Boston Metro and our alums and others. So I want to spotlight a few of these. First of all, one of my favorite things to happen in the beginning of the spring semester is that what's now called the MIT Innovation Initiative essentially rallies everybody who supports new venture activity at the Institute to come together and spotlight what they're doing over a 2-hour stretch. And this will happen the second week, if you will, of the spring semester on the February 15th in the Stata Center, Student Street. So that's the Computer Science AI Lab building designed by Frank Gehry, the crazy one. The ground floor of that is lined with people who represent the totality of the venture ecology here, including those who represent the community beyond academia, so MIT Enterprise Forum and others. And so I urge you, if you're in any way near here that day, to just sort of tap into that vein, because you get it all at once. And it's usually the people who are running the key things who are presenting the stuff that they're doing. So you have a chance for a personal connection. All right, second, I wanted to spotlight, MIT is like a fractal. You zoom in, there's more complicated shit. And you keep zooming in, and it just gets more complicated. So there's a near infinity of resources and opportunities and things that you can pay attention to just in this community, never mind the Boston Metro community, which is equally fractalic. I spotlight here with this list my favorites. In other words, the things that I've either had started or run or been part of, or if nothing else, at least these you should know about, right? The various web links, click on them, see when their events are, see when their activities are, participate in something. You won't go wrong. Some of them formal institute initiatives, some of them extracurricular activities run by the students, some of them supported by the artifices of alumni, and some of them things that are sort of more general interest. Okay. There's also a near infinity of things that you ought to know about. These handful of event pages is what I actually pay attention to. You at least ought to know about what the Institute as a whole is doing. So today's announcement about MIT IQ, right, is just one of the many things that the Institute announces first on the MIT news site. And just sort of daily or every other day or weekly paying attention to that, that's good, because it's always nice to have a finger on the pulse of what's up. MIT events page is daily, like if you have a spare hour, figure out what's happening that hour and go to it. The Innovation Initiative, I summarize, they have the most comprehensive list of all the things happening that are entrepreneurship and innovation related. In other words, all the different pieces of MIT have their own lists, but this is the attempt to be the umbrella for them all, right? To embrace everything that's happening. Then we have my wildcard recommendation to you all, especially if you're a technophile or somebody who likes what's changing fast in the world of science and technology. Fred Hapgood is a science journalist who has done humanity an amazing favor, at least Boston Metro humanity, the favor of putting essentially everything that's percolating in all of the institutions in our region. He puts it online and just makes sure everybody knows how to get there. He does it for his own purposes, right, because he's a science journalist, but he shares it. He's like an open source, like, go check this out. So Hapgood's Boston Science Lectures, it may seem a little wild card, but it's a favorite of mine. Then MIT spinoffs like Xconomy, the things that are happening at our peer institutions. I just list Harvard, but the fact is that Tufts, BU, Wellesley, Northeastern, the list goes on. We've got in our Boston metro area 50 plus colleges and universities with over 250,000 people. So there's a lot going on. And if you are paying attention, you'll know where to go. A bunch of our alums and others in the venture community write frequently. Brad Feld has been mentioned a couple times because of his role as an alumnus, an entrepreneur, an investor. He's probably invested in more Media Lab related spinoffs than anybody else on the planet. You know, the Guitar Hero, Harmonix, Rock Band people. Feld was the patient entrepreneur, venture capitalist who invested in them as they figured out what they were doing and ultimately became a success. Ditto, Oblong, the company that was the inspiration for Steven Spielberg's Minority Report interface, where Tom Cruise engaged. That actually was a Media Lab student who ultimately spun out a company to commercialize what he prototyped in the movie. Feld was the core venture investor. And that's an interesting role to have played. He writes frequently about his role as a venture capitalist and also an entrepreneurial community builder. Joe, on a previous class, spotlit Brad's humorous video about the role of venture capital. Just urge you to sort of pay attention to what he's doing. Elad Gil is predecessor to Sloan. Sloan, as current MIT entrepreneurship competition, 100K entrepreneurship competition co-lead. Elad was her predecessor in doing this. After 5 different ventures, he's now writing about his experience in investing in companies. The list goes on. There's a lot happening here in the near future, whether it's people who care about business action in various geographies, Latin America, Africa, China, Asia, India, plus, or it's people who care about verticals, bioinnovations, various emerging technology arenas, plus. Those are incredibly worth paying attention to because the informal schmoozing that happens, inevitably, if you're at one of those conferences, is huge for you thinking about your new venture. The MIT Ideas competition, run by our colleagues downstairs in the MIT Priscilla King Gray Public Service Center. Huge for those of you, especially who care about social venturing. And, of course, MIT's entrepreneurship competition, Accelerate, has been happening over the course of this past month, and we'll have a finale soon. The launch phase of the MIT 100K is imminent, and Sloan can tell you much more about this if she cares to.
I'll just call out that the finale for Accelerate is on February 20th. So if you haven't had the chance to sign up for that and you're interested, please do. The registration link is on the website, mit100k.org. And then if you're looking to apply for launch, those applications will open in March, probably around March 1st to 3rd. And a newsletter will go out notifying you of those application openings.
You can't go wrong participating in this because there's only upside and very little downside. And